to another exciting adventure with Grendel. I am your host, Grendel. I guess I didn't properly introduce myself. I am a youngish tabaxi from a land called Viscera. More specifically, the western side of Viscera, KG. My family isn't originally from these lands. My family refuses to talk about where we are from. My guess, as I learn more about myself, is that we are from a distant planet. Maybe one that experienced turmoil, or some other catastrophic event. We left to find a better place to live. My great-grandparents made a deal with the local Cajuns for a place to live in exchange for our labor. My kind knows how to grow food in any environment. This comes from our long line of druids that are one with nature. Druids in my family skip generations. So my great-grandfather and his siblings were not druids. I believe this is why they were so desperate to make a deal for their freedom. They don't see it as a loss of freedom, but I do. Well, that's enough backstory for now. I will dive deeper into my life with every episode, but for now, let's move on to something lighter. One of my most favorite articles I ever read in college was called Millers and Grinders, Technology and Household Economy in Meso-America by Arnold J. Bauer. This article is about the preparation of the daily bread in Meso-America, known as the tortilla. Women have been grinding grain for thousands of years. Grinding instruments have been found and dated back to some 5,000 years ago around the world. From the frescoes of Ramses II, or the early strata in the caves of Teotihuacan, and later terracotta figurines, a nearly identical and highly important tool can be identified. Women are grinding grain. Known as a saddlestone in Egypt, the New World equivalent is the metate in Mexico. The rest of the world created different ways of obtaining grinded grain, such as animal power and eventually water-powered mills. These changes spread from eastern Mediterranean through Greece, and with the Romans, spread along the rivers. There was some resistance and hesitation to the new technology, but eventually made its way to the New World with the arrival of the Europeans. Everywhere they went that had wheat production and wind or water, this tech replaced the old ways of grinding on a stone. This led to the needing only one mill per 2,000 people in some places. This tech supposedly granted women the chance to work on other daily tasks. The path of Mesoamerican maize grinding remained unchanged for about 5,000 years. The metate only started to be replaced for Mexicans and Guatemalans in the late 19th century by electric steam and gasoline-powered mills. Even today in remote regions, the monometate is still the indispensable tool in tens of thousands of households. This means that for one baker in Rome who produced bread for 400 households, 400 women in Teotihuacan rose with the morning light to start with the 6-hour daily grind. Women in the wheat cultures spent no more than 3 to 4 hours a week on bread, while maize women spent 35 to 40 hours a week on tortillas alone. Early stages of maize production take less effort than small cereals. With a hoe and digging stick, maize can be planted on hillsides too steep for plows and among rocks and stumps. While wheat demands tillage of the entire surface of the field, maize yields more in terms of ratio to seed in areas than the small cereals. 2 crops a year can often be taken in the tropics. Harvest is relatively easy, and it can be left to stand for weeks and even months in the field as the harvest schedule is not rigid. After the harvest, usually done by men, the women shelled the kernels, washed them in perforated clay pots, and soaked them in a more or less 1% lime solution. Fun fact, the lime increases the availability of niacin in the corn. Niacin is a B vitamin that helps your body turn food into energy. Add some beans to that tortilla and you have a complete protein. After soaking, it is heated, but not boiled. This soaked and softened maize was now called nixtamal, which was washed again to remove the pericarp, and then laboriously ground and reground on the metate. This back-breaking work resulted in dampened flour, or masa, and was then formed into round, thin cakes and cooked on a griddle and stored hot, covered by cloth in a basket. This procedure was performed every day and often more than once, as tortillas could not be stored or preserved. Skipping a lot from this article, we'll jump right into why mills were not used for tortilla making. Soaked grains are hard to mill. Tortillas require an especially finely ground flour, and mills were unable to produce such a product. Even after milling, the nixtamal was frequently reground by metate for fineness. Lime-soaked grain was a problem not faced in the countries where the original milling techniques were developed. Why wouldn't the new tech get people to switch from tortillas to another form of maize foods, such as cornbread or polenta? Well, that's because, again, the lime helped release the niacin, which helped keep people safe from a pellagra plague. Places that ate the maize products as anything other than a tortilla were at risk of pellagra, and a plague did in fact take place in the U.S. South. This is a good place to stop, and in the future I can do part 2 of this article. If you can't wait to find out what else Mr. Bauer has to say, I'm sure you can find it somewhere on the internet. It is a good read, and I'm just highlighting some of his best points. Moving on. Today we'll have our first interview with a young dog named Mikla. She is my friend and co-pilot in the car. Hello, Mikla. What did you want to talk about today?
Hello, my name is Mikla, or Mika Tiki Timba is what my friends call me. I'm half Chihuahua and half Dachshund. I believe those are called Chihuahuas, but I have a bunch of other stuff on me too, like some miniature pinscher and some other type of terrier type. I thankfully look more like a min pin because I have a very slender physique with very long legs. I look very good. Fitness is very important to me.
Thank you, Mikla. Is that what you wanted to talk about today, your fitness journey?
Oh no, I'm just telling you who I am. I'm a pretty good pup, I would say. A pretty good pup. I've been training to get my pilot license. I have been the co-pilot for so long, but this girl, she won't let me drive. I keep telling her I'm ready. It's like she doesn't trust me or something.
This girl that you're referring to is me?
I just wish that she would trust me, because I know how to do it. And, I know she thinks that we all just go through the drive-thru, but that is my business, what I do when I'm driving. She won't even let me place an order at the drive-thru. Double patty with cheese, no veggies, no sauce, hold it bun.
You can't eat fast food. It is full of salt and possibly garlic and onion, which is bad for your kidneys.
That's why I'm always saying no veggies. No veggies means no onion. Every now and then I get little mini burger patties, but it's a joke. I want a full-size burger patty. My dream is to meet a nice young man who works at the drive-thru so I can get endless burger patties. I don't even need the cheese. I just love the beef so much and nobody seems to care.
Young man drive-thru worker, what about your current boyfriend, Unicorn Keith Michael?
Unicorn Keith Michael is not my boyfriend anymore. He's dead to me. We had our fun, but I don't think we were meant to be. His physique made me look fat. He was all buff and stuff, and I can't have that issue. I was dating this young zebra fellow, but he was kind of ugly, and I know this sounds bad, but he made me look too good. I just want a nice service industry fellow that has unlimited access to the burger patty.
If you have an unlimited access to burger patties, you would be fat and possibly really unhealthy.
I can't even talk to you anymore. This interview is over. Just another person that doesn't support me. I don't need that in my life. I'm an empath, and this is too much for me. I am leaving now.
Sorry about that, folks. I guess we'll move on to another segment.
I'll be back next week. I'm the co-host now, right? I'll sound pretty good this now.
No.
Whatever. I'll be back next time to tell you about my favorite activity, sending and receiving messages at the park.
I am not letting that dog be the co-host of this show. She will not be the Brit to my Ashley Flowers. Our next segment is, what's that job about? Let's take a look at this Indeed job posting. Dish staff. We are looking for a few good dish staff positions to be filled. Must be able to handle the bursts of volume, multitask, get along great with others, and please have some good taste in music. Great place to work, great benefits, employee meal. Stop in and fill out an application, and one of the managers will do an interview on the spot. They have full-time and part-time available positions. Pay is supposedly $20 to $24 per hour. They are one of Nashville's brightest and fun atmospheres, and they are hiring. They are Smokin' Thighs. Alright, so the name is great, Smokin' Thighs. Let's take a look at their website and Indeed reviews. So the website's pretty much like you would expect. established in 2012. They believe slow and low is the way to go. I agree with that statement. I love slow roasted meat. They claim they are Nashville's favorite game day hang with a chicken-centric menu. Their prices for plates vary from $6 for a sandwich with no sides to $15.50 for 6 jumbo Applewood smoked chicken wings. Not bad pricing overall, pretty standard I would say. Their core values listed on the website include respect, ambition, family, accountability, and culture. The most basic words thrown around at a service industry job. They always like to emphasize these types of words when you first start, but then you never hear these words again. Just some company crap that they probably don't hold management or ownership to the same standards. Let's find out. What do the Indeed reviews say? So their overall score on Indeed is 2.5 stars from 20 reviews. Uh-oh. Not smoking thighs. I'm sure they aren't that bad. First review. Won't make any money. This is a 1-star review. Less than $100 a day. Business is slow except game days. Well, that makes sense since they are Nashville's favorite game day hang. Here's a 5-star review. They're trying. Relatively new company with a recent second restaurant opened. Has a lot of potential and the owner is somewhat open to change and new ideas. But you've got to earn his respect to get changes made. Ha! Earning respect is not something Grundle cares to do for anyone. This one is titled Health Inspection ASAP. I was hired on the spot. Trained for about 2 hours. Then I was on my own. I liked it the first day. Come time for my second shift, I was worked like a literal slave. I had no breaks. Management was so trash they made rude statements about my figure. I have a bigger behind than a lot of women. When I spoke with the owner about it, he didn't care, so I quit and he took my check. End of story. Don't! Last one is titled, Owner's a Bully. He takes your check when you don't want to work in that negative environment he instills. I would advise anyone who works for this company to be prepared to get taken advantage of. The owner doesn't care about his staff. He's very rude with no empathy of others and will take your check if you no longer want to work there. Basically holding your job security hostage. He's done so many people wrong. Shaking my head. Well, holding people's checks is illegal, I believe. There is one other review that says the same thing, so that's not good. Doesn't seem to be a good place to work unless you are super outgoing and are okay with being taken advantage of. Now let's take a look at rent in Nashville. For this, I will use Zillow. According to Zillow, the cheapest apartment in Nashville is about $995 a month for 430 square feet. Not too bad for a big city. Looks like you can even get small houses for $1,200 to $1,300 price range. That is really not that bad for a city. I am kind of surprised. So if you make the advertised amount of $20 to $24 an hour, then you could probably afford a place without the need for roommates. Maybe I need to move to Nashville. If anyone has better insights into the Nashville scene, please reach out. I only covered one job from Nashville, so let's do a quick look at livable wages. So workstream.com says $15.50 per hour as a single adult, no kids, is all you need to be able to live in a modest apartment. Not bad, but the minimum wage is still only $7.25 an hour, so I'm sure there's still a good amount of people who still struggle to live here like anywhere else. Speaking of businesses, we have a sponsor, Brandmaster Supreme. They are supposedly unveiling the world's best new brands. Today's new brand is Strawberry Syrups, when you only need one thing. That's their slogan. I guess they only sell strawberry syrup. I don't see how that is a good business model, but I am not a business owner, so what do I know? Brandmaster Supreme Instagram will be linked somewhere in the description, I guess. I need to find a better sponsor. new segment, since this is a new show. Cassette tape time! Might try to come up with a better name, but in the meantime, that's what it will be. Brought to you by our friends at Mediocre Cassette Tape Archive. They will also get linked in the description area. Today they bring us Gunfighter Ballads and Trail Songs by Marty Robbins. 12 songs long, you might know the hits, El Paso, and my personal favorite, Big Iron, also featured in Fallout New Vegas. I would play some songs, but I don't have the rights to do that, and I'm pretty sure you can find it somewhere online or Spotify. Pretty good album. Released on Columbia Records in September of 1959, it peaked at number 6 on the U.S. pop album charts. Fun fact, it was recorded in a single 8-hour session on April 7th, 1959. Marty Robbins is an interesting fellow that taught himself guitar while serving in the Navy during World War II. He was born in Glendale, Arizona on September 26, 1925, and died at the young age of 57 on December 8, 1982, in Nashville, Tennessee, which we talked about earlier in this episode. Unfortunately, he never got to try smoking thighs. It says he had various jobs before his time in the Navy, including amateur boxer, digging ditches, driving trucks, delivering ice, and serving as a mechanic's helper. I wonder what his pay was for those various jobs. In the 80s, he competed in 35 NASCAR Grand National Series races with 6 top 10 finishes. That's like Frankie Muniz, from actor to NASCAR driver. So weird. Anyways, he developed cardiovascular disease early in life and had 3 heart attacks. His third one took place on December 2nd, 1982. He underwent quadruple coronary bypass surgery and did not recover, unfortunately passing away 6 days later. How sad. That wraps up cassette tape time. Thank you to Mediocre Cassette Tape Archive. They will highlight a cassette every episode, but I will do the research. Small Texas with Me is another segment where I will talk about small Texas towns and the adventures of the person who runs Come Small Texas with Me. You can find them on Instagram too. Today they want me to talk about Graham, Texas. Their caption for the Graham post reads, "Lots of history in this small town." These photos are just from the old post office that is now a free art museum and worth the drive for a quick day trip. Well, I guess they mean quick if you live nearby. They provide no other information, and now I have to do the research that they refuse to do, because otherwise this is a rather boring segment, especially because you can't see the photos. Okay. Graham, Texas. Largest city of Young County and has a population of 8,750 people. Huh, wow, so big. The site was first settled in 1871 by brothers Gustavus A. and Edwin S. Graham, primary shareholders in the Texas Emigration and Land Company of Louisville, Kentucky. The brothers moved to Texas after the Civil War, and after buying a very small amount of land, 125,000 acres, in then vast Young County, helped to revitalize the area, the population of which had become badly depleted during the war. During that same year as when Graham was settled, the Warren Wagon train raid occurred about 12 miles north of the city. In 1872, the Graham brothers purchased a local salt works, established in the town of Graham, and set up the Graham Land Office. The salt works were not a profitable venture as the salt was too expensive to ship and were closed in a few years. New families started to arrive, and the brothers began promoting the sale of home sites and doing civic improvements. A post office, I wonder if it's the post office mentioned in Come Small Texas With Me's Post, opened in 1873, and after Young County reorganized the following year, Graham became the county seat. The town's newspaper, known as the Graham Leader, and still exists today, was first printed in 1876, the same year that the first temporary courthouse was built. Other businesses from these early years included a sawmill, cotton gin, and brick kiln, 2 hotels, and several stores. A 3-story limestone courthouse was built in 1884 and was replaced by a new courthouse in the early 1930s. The 1884 structure's east door still stands on the courthouse square. From 1879 to 1896, Graham was the seat of a federal district court overseen by Judge A.P. McCormick. His jurisdiction extended over all of Texas north and west to New Mexico. By 1900, Graham had incorporated as a town, and railroad service began in 1903 through the Chicago, Rock Island, and Texas Railroad, part of the Chicago, Rock Island, and Pacific System. In 1921, the Wichita Falls and Southern Railroad, one of the Frank Kell and Joseph A. Kemp properties, extended its line into Graham from Newcastle. The WF&S was abandoned in 1954, and the Rock Island sold its line to the Texas Export Railroad in 1972, but was abandoned just 2 years later. The population of Graham grew slowly until 1917, when oil was discovered nearby. The population tripled from a whopping 878 in 1900 to 2,544 in 1920. By 1966, Graham had 17 churches, 7 schools, a hospital, a radio station, 2 libraries, 3 parks, and 2 newspapers. The population peaked at 9,170 in 1980 and has since gradually declined. It was 8,716 at the 2000 census, and by 2007, declined about 200 people. According to a mural on the courthouse depicting the arrival of the Graham brothers, the town square is physically the largest of any in the country. Can anyone confirm this? I would like to see the biggest town square, I guess. Graham was one of only a handful of towns in Texas that remained a dry city. As of 2017, the town now sells wine and beer, and it still has an operational drive-in theater. Some notable people that are from Graham, Texas, we have Dean Smith, 1952 Olympic gold medalist sprinter. Robert McFarland, National Security Advisor to President Ronald Reagan. Bob Estes, golfer, 4-time winner on the PGA Tour. And Rex Brown, bassist for the heavy metal band Pantera. Well, that was exciting, I guess. In the future, I hope Come Small Texas With Me will do the research, since they are the one visiting these small towns. This concludes episode 1. Hope everyone had fun. If you have any questions or comments, I will maybe answer. Goodbye for now. Maybe forever. Grendel signing off.